Adrico style. I'm rocking a massage chair here. It's not turned on, or I'd be like heaving and moving all around. But I am getting photobombed by my own dog. Now, one of the problems with shooting these videos is I don't know where the fuck to look. Like if I look at me, like right now, I'm looking me right in the eye. But now I'm looking you in the eye. You know what it is? There's this little fucking hole right the fuck there. And if I don't look there, then then I look dodgy and shifty-eyed. Anyway, we're gonna talk a little bit about watches. We're gonna talk a little bit about what is the bubble. Is Rolex king? Can you still keep having your $5,000? Let's talk about what's happening in the watch market. So here's the thing about watches. My own personal collection consists of a bunch of Rolex watches. Most of them, all but one purchased used. The one that I bought new, I think I bought that in 1987. It was a date just. I still have it. It's two-tone. At some point or another, I will renew it. But I also have a couple of Omega watches, and then I have a couple of, how shall we call it, off-brand watches that are not super highly collectible unless you're in a real specialty subgroup. So I have a Marathon Jumbo Day Date, which I've reviewed. It's now on my channel. It's a big monster, huge watch that I really like. I typically wear it when I'm working. Right now, I am wearing one of my, I guess this one here, I would have to classify this as my favorite watch of all time. This is the one I rush back into the burning house, to save. It is the Deep Sea Dweller, the Deep Sea in blue. Okay, so I think that's going to be eventually a collectible watch because it's kind of limited production, very desirable. It's not a whole heck of a lot more expensive than the black Deep Sea Dweller. So I do think that this guy here is going to wind up being collectible. But honestly, I don't buy watches with the idea that they are going to rise in value. That is a decent reason to buy stocks, for example. I got a guy. I'm not good at this. I'm decent at making money. I'm just awful at knowing how to invest it. And so with that in mind, I don't really try and invest in a watch, Rolex or really any other brand. There are people who do it successfully, but the vast majority of people who attempt it are buying and selling and losing. They're not gaining, they're flipping watches and they're losing. That's what most people are going to end up accidentally doing. So my whole concept is I want to buy and hold used merchandise. So yeah, look, I buy from typically now, I want to buy a product which has a high resale desirability. So for me, that is Rolex. That's because Rolex is a little bit like gold. It's pretty just easy to sell. There's always a buyer for it. Now, there are some watches by Jaeger-LeCoultre and a variety of other Breguet, some brands which make watches that on some level may be a little bit finer even than the Rolex brand. On the one hand. On the other hand, you need a more specialized buyer for some of those watches. So I generally speaking stick to Rolex because here's my entire goal. I want to buy a watch which eventually I can convert back into cash. I'm not an accountant, but I know a little bit about accounting. And your net worth is composed of your assets, all the junk and stuff that you own, including bank accounts and furniture and jewelry and everything you own, less all the money that you owe on that stuff. So guys, just because you pay $15,000 for a Rolex doesn't mean that the Rolex is worth $15,000. It is worth what you can sell it for on the open market. And you would be really probably pretty shocked if you started consulting used Rolex dealers about what is the value of your beloved watch. It may be a lot lower than what you think, particularly if you paid retail for it. There's a joke that said, why did God invent Goyim, which is the word for non-Jew? And the answer is because somebody has to pay retail. But it's not going to be me, and ideally it won't be you either, because the second you walk out of the retail store with a watch, it just drops in value. So yeah, you get the whole super treatment from the authorized dealer, and you get to be the first guy that ever sweats or masturbates in that watch. But I don't. That's not important. Listen, if you need a pristine watch, and you better hope your wife was a virgin and don't ever sleep in a hotel bed. But that's another whole video. What we're really talking now is the value of watches. If you buy a watch, even from a reputable used dealer, like Kenny Nguyen at Jewelers on Time or bobswatches.com. But both sources that I like. Kenny, actually, I love, because he's so honest. He has so much integrity. But if you buy a watch from those folks, you're going to be saving tons of money versus if you had purchased it retail, on the one hand. On the other hand, if you need to sell that watch the day after you purchase it, remember, they have got to clean it up, they've got to put some value back into it, and then they have to resell it. Even if you never hardly touched it. Let's say you keep it, you put it away in a safe, you've had it 2 months, but you change your mind. So it's pristine as the day they sent it to you, and guys like that, they clean up their watches, pretty good. So you're getting inventory that has been well cared for. But remember, they are in the business of buying and selling, and the only way that you pay for the bricks, the mortar, which Kenny has, the only way that you pay for Bob probably has $1 million worth of inventory locked up somewhere, in a bunker in Florida, and there's value. He has to make money for locking up his $1 million worth of inventory. So what I'm saying is, your $5,000 watch that you paid $5,000 for, you're going to sell it back for $3,500 if you're selling it anytime really quickly after you've purchased it. This whole idea that you're keeping your $5,000, but it's like you're buying gold, which has the same value today as it did yesterday, except for whatever the little fluctuation is. That's nonsense. And I don't really think that that's what Jewelers on Time is trying to tell you. I think what they're saying, and what I'm telling you, is buy and hold. If you buy and hold a watch, you pay $5,000 for it now. If you've made a reasonable buying decision, in 5 years, the resellers will be selling that same watch ideally for $6,500. And at that point, they will be able to pay you the $5,000 that you originally spent. But don't buy a watch for $5,000 and think that you're keeping your money and you're going to be able to immediately turn it around. You're not, okay? Unless you find a schmuck on eBay who's willing to buy from you, basically, the unknown vendor. He's willing to buy from you, the unknown vendor, and instead of going to a more trusted source, like the ones that I've mentioned. And then we have to hope that he actually pays you, that he's not a scam artist, that he doesn't take your watch, file a claim, and say you never sent it because you didn't keep good video records of everything. Or let's say he's a really great scam artist, so he takes the Rolex, that you sent him, he opens it up, he removes the Rolex in-house movement, he puts in an ETA movement or a Miyota for that matter, screws the case back on, sends it back to you, gets his refund. You're none the wiser that you now have essentially a Franken watch that's almost valueless. So it's not that simple to keep having your $5,000. Okay, so I thought I'd finish off this video by letting the dog photo bomb me. Her name is Sheena. She's 10 or 12 years old. She's kind of a random German Shepherd that I rescued somewhere along the way. I train dogs, and oh man, when she was young, she was a piece of work. She was always really people friendly, by the way, but she was a runaway. She listened to no man. So the fact that she's become an old lady and that she never ran away from home, in some senses, honestly, it's a testament to good dog training, because she was a difficult dog, but as soon as she got good, she got amazingly good. So you may see Sheena sort of snoozing in the background. She's an old lady and she's earned the couch now. But look, here's my summation. You need to buy good watches, and you need to buy them for the long haul. Everyone who says, I'm never going to sell it, so it's okay that I pay retail, man, you don't know what could happen to you. I have spoken to any number of people who had the sudden divorce, or God forbid, the sudden illness, or let's say, all of a sudden you have an addition to your home, or maybe to your wife. There are a million things that could happen that could require you to convert your watch back to cash. So you want to pay as close to what you can resell it for as possible. Let me repeat that. You want to buy for as close as possible to what you can sell for. So if you buy up here something that you can only sell there, you're screwed if you have to sell it anytime quick. Trust me, I know, I have done this. So learn from my misfortunes. I'll make a whole video about the one, pretty bad screw up that I made. But you don't have to do that. Archie is right, buy used. I bought this used. It's a whole video, I'll make it. But look, buy used, number one. Number two, if you want a recent model watch, you can do that. I have a current production model ceramic GMT that I paid significantly less than retail for. I'll review it. I'll talk about the price I paid. But it's a current model watch. I just happened to pay a lot less for it than if I had gone and purchased it retail. I still am going to need to hold that watch for probably a good 5 years before its used price rises to the level of what I paid, plus the $1,500 or $2,000 that a dealer is going to have to make on it whenever it gets back into his possession. Anything that I sell to a dealer, he needs his margin on. He has to be able to make money on that watch. If I go to the private market, well, then you take your chances. Again, if you sell on eBay, I'm afraid to sell on eBay, man. There are a lot of ways to lose your watch and your money on eBay. So buy a watch which you predict will later be collectible. The stuff that's usually collectible is what people don't want at the given time. Listen, in '87, when I bought my two-tone Datejust, it was the shiznit, that watch. That was the shit. And I paid the staggering sum in '87 of about $3,200 for it, and that's about exactly what it's worth today. So it's held, and that's nice, But that's only because I've owned it 30 years. I bought the watch that everybody wanted. You know what nobody wanted in 1987? The Submariner. Nobody wanted that watch, and they were like $900 to $1,400, somewhere in that range, I believe. They were reasonably cheap. I bought the expensive watch. Nobody wanted that stupid sub. But Submariners of that era are now worth a ton of money. So you want what most people don't want at the given time. Unless it's Cellini, don't go down that road. Anyway, I've enjoyed talking watches with you. Mark Goldberg from Mark Vlogs Watches. Today I'm wearing the Deep Sea Sea Dweller in blue. Please like, subscribe, make any comments that you'd like to in the comments section about your experiences buying and selling watches, and whether you buy to hold, whether you flip. Have you made money this way? Or like most people, have you lost your ass?